Hello everybody, it's me, Pottery Demon here, and I got a new video for you guys. Today, I got some exciting things for you guys. I went in and I made some cool glaze. I'm going to be showing you how to make some glaze, some wet glaze, and that's really exciting, and so I'm going to walk you through that whole process and what I go about that. And then, not only that, is I got some new pots for you today. I took that reclaim from those 4 failures yesterday. It was a tough one, guys. That was a brutal day. But that's okay, we took those failures, we wedged them up, and we made them into some new pots. So it's a good way to recycle that. And then to finish up today, I got a new commercial for you guys. We got this new commercial. It's going to be really exciting. it's really just about, I made some cups for this coffee shop, and I finally got the cups today, and the cups turned out perfect. So I'm really excited. I got to give those out, and I got a really nice reaction from them. And so that was all positive stuff. A lot of positive things happened today. And then to end off, I got a cool little mug audio recording for you guys. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in a second. Peace. Hello everybody. It's me. I'm back again with another pottery video today. Today is kind of exciting because I'm gonna be showing you guys about mixing some glazes, and I also finally gotta be Santa and give a gift out, which was pretty cool to a place, and so you guys will see that a little bit later. I think what I'll do is I have, I guess, 2 commercials in between each pot, and so right after I throw, and then I'll cut to me doing those videos, or the commercials. But for now, I think I gotta focus on throwing well, just because these past 2 days have been a little bit dry for my pottery throwing. Okay. There we go. There we go. Just trying to focus on, this clay is a little bit soft, and so I'm trying to focus on is making sure that I'm not going to run into any uncomfortable undulations, because sometimes when it's really soft like this, even the slightest little thing can cause the clay to not want to listen to you. But right here, the clay's working really well. I feel like it's right on. Right on point. And I'm also working with a little bit, all the failures I did yesterday. So four of the failures. Turn those 4 failures into 3 chunks of clay here. And so, that way, well, first now I'm throwing with a little bit more clay. But that way I can reuse it quickly, because I messed up so early in the throwing that I didn't really overhydrate the clay to a point where I couldn't re-wedge it. So I just put a bag over top of it. After I was done throwing yesterday, put a bag over all the stuff, and then today it's on a wooden piece of plywood, so that moisture is kind of getting sucked out from the plywood. And that way. That way it was just perfectly dry enough for me to re-wedge it today. Okay. So we got like one more pull I can do here, I think. Actually might not. Let's just check out this bottom. So it's catching on my arm, so add a little bit of water to the arm there. Oh man. All right. So so right now I was pushing it out a little bit too much and it's really thin right there. So I'm gonna sort of see what I can do. Holy shit. There we go. Now it's back, workable. It's really thin in that middle part. You can see it like wanting to give out right now. So I'm just gonna be really slow with my one at a time. I don't want to go too much. And I actually want to be pushing outwards a little bit because I don't want it to create too much tension on that where that's weak there. So I want to make sure I'm like leading that bottom up out towards that belly instead of trying to like go really, really drastic on that bottom part, because then it's just gonna cause some more problems when I get to the belly of the pot there. As you can see, whatever I'm doing once, like I always say, you just keep going around. And now we're kind of at a cool spot. And right here, you notice that I want to actually just make sure I'm kind of being a little bit more, some extra special love right to this top part, because where that belly's out, it's actually going to want to go to path of least resistance instead of following the fold. So we kind of want to force it to collapse a little bit because it's going to want to collapse there anyway. And now we're just pulling this out. That's good. Look at that, guys. We saved that one from death. So that's a really great one to start off on, guys. And how long did that one take me? 7 minutes? Okay, not bad. Okay. Well, the clay is softer too, so it's gonna wanna, oh, I hope that didn't, okay, that didn't squirt on the camera there. It's a little bit softer, so it's gonna want to twist a little bit easier now as well, which is kind of nice, right? Like we're probably gonna get a little less ripping, right? It's still gonna tear a little bit because I'm putting a lot of stress on it, but it's gonna want to do some cool, nice stuff with the twisting here. Okay, so I'm up underneath. I'm just taking this very slowly, waiting for a full rotation before I keep on pulling this out. And we can probably do one more. So get right up underneath here. Great. And I'm going to get my wire tool. This one's gonna look beautiful, guys. Got my wire tool. And then right after this, I'll do a little glaze mixing commercial for you guys. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do 5. Make sure our hands are nice and wet. And we're just going to take this thing, we're going to fold it back in, and then twist up, right up the side of this. Nice. Okay. Fold it in right at the base, then twist it up. Look at this. I really want this pot, I want these flanges to almost like crawl up the side of the pot. I like when they're really tall sometimes. And so I've realized if you cut towards the pot, right, these little flanges become really, really small, right? But if you cut across the pot, right, like if you have a circle, right, and if you cut towards the middle of the circle, you're gonna get little juts, right, like little mini ones. But if you cut like from here across, right, because there's a mini circle on the inside of it, right? So if you cut from here across, all that can be folded up and become a long tendril. And so that's what I like. Sometimes with these pots, it adds so much flavor to that exterior. You know what? Do we even do anything with that? I think this is really beautiful as is. I think that's it, guys. I don't even want to mess with it. I really like the way it looks. So, take this tool, get some of this water off. Here you guys go. Alright, and I'll see you guys in a second from the commercial. Here we go. Guys, oh my God. Just look at this. It's so freaking pretty. It's hard to see the actual color of it though, sadly. But yeah, guys. This glaze is like, it's just nuts. And there's the other side. Not as pretty, but it's just the normal Shino. So it looks nice. You know, you have a lot of variation. You got your more red, peachy Shino at the bottom. Goes up and it's a little bit more calm and creamy. And then at the top, maybe it's since there's some iron in this spray here, or on the interior, maybe it's like fuming onto there or something a little bit, because it's a lot more like metallic-y, shiny. I mean, you can see the whole pink to creamy to shiny there. Just a really great cup, you know. And so I'll be giving these away later. Get the nice blue and some of the iron from the calcium. Man, I'm telling you, the iron yellow crystals. I mean, like some of the yellow parts in here. But yeah, guys, hold on, let me see if I can. These are all the way zoomed up in my nose. But yeah, guys, those pots right there, those ones are cooking. These ones are all cooking. Look, I got a whole little, I got a bunch of these guys. And so I'll be giving those away today. A post Christmas gift to that place. And so that's my plan. I'm gonna probably just mix 2 glazes and then I'll bounce just to get some hours while I'm here, you know, because that's important. But yeah. Alright, guys. Let's do this thing. I'll see you guys in a second. Alrighty, I hope you guys can hear me. But right now I'm going to be mixing a glaze here, so I'll flip this around real quick. So, wait, what the heck?
We want this to be auto. There we go. We got zinc right here, a zinc-free clear. So this is the glaze recipe, right? And so it's really easy to mix glazes. You got your glaze or the materials, right? So these two are your fluxes. This is your silica, your glass former, flint. And this is your refractory, that's clay, right? And so these all together are what's going to make your glaze. And then, like I said, these are your fluxes. So these things are going to be melting. Gristly borate is really popular in some lower fire glazes because it's such a strong flux. And so you'll see that's why there's less of it than the feldspar up here, right? And so that's just kind of some quick thing. This is just a clear, so it's a really simple glaze. And then, like I said, they have your gristly borates right there, you know, and then you're just using a classic triple beam balance. Whoa, wow, look at that cup. A triple beam balance, you know, make sure you zero it in, and then that's how you're going to be mixing your glazes there. So I'll see you in a second. All right, guys, so we got some material. So this is our F4 feldspar, right? Kona F4. And how much do we need? We need 2,000. So we're going to take two of these 1,000-gram things and just set them on the side here. It makes it really easy. And then we're just going to be filling it up all the way to the top. And something that's good to keep in mind is when you're doing this, first I have a mask on and ventilation. You know, that's great to have. Do it outside if you don't, right? Make sure you're not breathing anything. But if you slide it down the side of your thing, it's not going to make a big plume or a cloud of dust, right? So anything you can sort of do, and I'm tapping it because it's just getting just a little amount that I need to come out, right? And so that's sort of how I go about it. And then the last little bit, I'll just take a couple pinches to get it down to where I need it to be, right? And I mean, this is just like these materials aren't really going to hurt you. It's the colorants and the metals that are really bad, right? Like silica is also pretty bad. So like flint, if you get that in your freaking lungs, if you ever look at what silica looks like under a microscope, it looks pretty dangerous. So you don't want to be breathing that stuff in because it's gonna stay in your system, right? And so now I'm going to take this. And this sometimes, you know, I tilt in it and I just let it go, jiggle that around, and then now, like, I don't have a huge plume of dust, you know, coming out at me. And so that's kind of a nice little tip for you guys there. You know, so next, we just need 2,000 of that. We need 1,500 of the gristly borate. So we're going to go put this stuff back here. And so, like, you can see, like, you can get pretty quick on this stuff the more and more you do it. And I'm just mixing a little batch to top this batch off here, just so I can give you guys some content. Oh, see how it shot up there? You don't want that. But if you'll see, like, gristly borate, for example, like this is like a lot of low fire glazes, you'll see they'll have gristly borate in it because it's such a strong flux, right? And so one of the things that you want to make sure is that well, you don't really need to make sure this, but something that you sort of want to keep in mind is that, so let me focus here, is that if you're buying bulk raw material, you're going to want glazes that use that raw material, right? You don't want just one glaze that you have to buy a 50-pound bag of something for, when you could just have glazes that, like, maybe all of your glazes use a little bit of gristly borate, right? Like, then you're like double dipping on your value for the material because it's making multiple variations, right? And so I've always thought to myself, if one day I ever have like this sort of glaze lab, I'm not going to have every little bell and whistle, right? What I will have are the things that I need to create the glazes, like a couple of glazes, right? Like realistically, you only need a couple glazes. You don't need every single glaze. Especially, what I like to do is you can get those Amico underglazes. You can get any color, and then now you can just get that if you ever want color variation, right? It's not a bad setup there, and it works out really well. And so that's something that I think everybody should sort of think about, right? Because cost of glazes, I'm telling you, cost of glazes are insane recently, right? Like they're so crazy. But cost of raw material is also crazy, but you get a lot more material, right? Like for the same cost, right? What might cost like a $50 bag of 50 pounds, you only get like a couple, 16 ounces of glaze for, right? And so these things end up being way more cost effective than what you might originally think, right? And so I'm telling you guys, if you're ever really wanting to get into this thing, like this is the fun part. Like this is cool. It's chemistry a little bit, right? And people, you can make little small batches of things and it can get pretty crazy, but realistically you can just make like little test tiles if you wanted, and you can have a lot of fun. There's so many glazes that you can sort of make, and my goal is one day that I want to make my own glaze, the Pottery Demon's blood tree or something, I want to make something that has some cool glaze to it. I want to make like a blood ash glaze, and I think it'd just be crazy. Alright, so that's all the materials. Only took us thing's trying to jump out of my hand. Alright, I'll see you guys in just a second. I'm gonna be mixing it up for you guys as well. Alright, so right here we are, and all I'm doing is I'm just filling this up. I got like a half a batch, right? And so I'm guessing, about the water that I'm gonna use. I think it's gonna be probably about that much. Any more, we'll see. But I'll see you guys in a second. But I'm just kind of guessing. It's just guessing. But I'm gotten pretty good at it. I'm sure you could measure that stuff out. Usually there's like a specific gravity that you need to do, but realistically it's not that crazy. But here I go. Here you guys. Welcome back, guys. Alright, so here I am. I'm going to grab our dry mix material here. So this is, oh, sorry, that was probably loud. But here I'm taking the material here, and I'm just going to be, let me get this there. Just going to be shaking this out, and I have it in there's a fan, or a vent that's sort of sucking the dry material up that's like coming out there, so it's not all over my face. And you're just sort of shimmying it until you get all of it out. And the cool part about this, guys, is watch, like as the water is getting in there, right? You see how it's like taking that, it's like it's taking that water and just like moving around and getting dissolved in. So it's kind of a cool little process. Take you guys over to the mixer in a second. Before we mix, we got this. I love to use this tool because on an old bucket, what are you going to have a lot of? You're going to have a lot of glaze that's sort of caked up on the side of the bucket. Like, look at all this stuff here, right? That's all just glaze that we can use. So let's remix it into the bucket. And so I kind of come around the whole bucket, and I just sort of claw all that stuff back in the glaze bucket here. And that's sort of how I go about the glaze. Now I just take my thumb and push that in, right? Then from this point, this is when we're going to get our mixer, right? Right? And then we can start mixing up our thing. And you don't want to go like, sometimes if you go too fast at the beginning, a chunk can come out and launch at you, right? But usually you're okay as long as there's no dry material on the surface of the glaze. So sometimes I like to wait or even add a little bit more water, depending if I have any of that dry material stuck on the surface of the glaze there. And once I get it kind of mixed in there, what I'm going to first do is I've noticed that it's still a little thick, right? So I'm going to take some water. I'm going to take some water here. I'm just going to pump a little bit more in here, right? I'm also going to wash my hand off a little bit. And I'm pretty sure I can add that much, right? And so I'm getting kind of good at guessing. Every once in a while I go a little bit too thin, but then again, it's all good to just practice guessing, because eventually you'll start to understand how much you actually need. And I mean, that's why like when you get really old and like you're around some old people and all of a sudden they just know. It's all just because they sort of taken the time and they know how long it takes for this stuff to, how much water it takes, or how much of anything really. I mean, old people they've had so much time with material that it's kind of hard for them not to know these things. What am I going to do here? We'll take this bucket, and then next up we got our sieve, right guys? Like our sieve, it's just a mesh. And so any of the chunks, shards of bisqueware that broke off in the bucket, we're going to get all that out so then we have a nice clean glaze, right? And now that our bucket is a little bit more liquidy, not as thick, I'm not going to have to do as much like scraping to get it out, right? Or to push all this glaze through that mesh. You can see how it's thick enough where some of that mesh, it doesn't go all the way through. And so we're going to have to massage that glaze, that mesh, to get all this glaze out. And then I just take a spatula of some sort, and I'm just going to try to get this glaze, as much of this glaze from this bucket, before I clean the bucket to give a nice fresh look. I'm just trying to get all this glaze out of here, right? You don't have to be perfect, but if you can save, like if you can do one extra like glaze, one more cup because you went through this step, right? That's kind of worth it, right? Instead of it just, getting washed away. And so that's kind of the cool part about this process. And then, right, I'm going to sit over here with you guys, and I'm just going to massage this glaze, right? I'm just dragging, and sometimes like a figure eight works pretty well, but I also just like to do circles, and then I like pull towards myself and just kind of massage that through, and you'll see eventually this will start going down. And a lot of the hard chunky stuff, right, some materials they clump up rather than dissolve. And so this is why sieving is so important, because all this stuff, what if this was a flux for your glaze, right? All of a sudden now you don't have any flux in your glaze, and then you're going to have a very inconsistent glaze. You're going to have, it's going to be spotty. It's not going to look like how you thought it was going to look like, right? Also, sometimes it's good to mix in larger batches than in small batches, because certain materials are really potent and strong, and so even if you're a little 0.5% off, right, it can change the whole entire color, right? So if you ever mix blue glazes and you're not getting this perfect blue that they say in the recipe, you know, maybe try to mix a little bit larger of a batch, because then you're giving yourself more leeway with the amount of blue percentage-wise that you're putting into your glaze, right? Cobalt is for the blue, you know, that is the most potent, at least most potent, like, that is used often, right? We're just taking this stuff, we're pushing it through. You can see how it kind of wants to get away from you. If you ever use one of those, like a cake batter one, those things are really good for this process here, right? Because you can kind of scrape it a lot easier. This spatula is kind of hard to push it through. Oh, look at that right here. This is, let's rinse it off and I'll show you. Wait, what the fuck is this? This is a little yellow duck or something. Right? You don't want that in your glaze. See? Like, that's important. And so now I'm going to take this off. And I'll rinse this off in a second. I'll see you guys in one moment. Sorry, I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself. But all I'm doing, also I forgot to say, the back, after you're done mixing, you'll have some extra material caked up on the back here. Scrape that into the glaze. Right, sorry I forgot to say that. And then, right, like you're pouring all that stuff that we just mixed back into the bucket after we've cleaned the bucket. So the whole inside of the bucket I washed clean. And then again, you're going to take your spatula and just get all that glaze. Yum, that fresh clear. Oh, we love it. We love it. Clear is also important. Like, if you're mixing glazes, right? Like, what are you going to want to mix first? You're going to want to mix the glazes that, if you're doing them all together, you're going to want to mix the glazes that don't have any colorants first, right? Because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to get a bunch of other material, like other colorants. Like, imagine if you mix the blue and then you mix the clear. Chances are you didn't perfectly clean everything, right? And so some of that blue is going to show up in your clear glaze, and that's not good. You don't want that, right? And I'm going to give it a nice good mix here. And so that's important that you mix like your whites and your clears first. And then you move on to the things, right? Like iron, for example, is not a really, really strong colorant. So if a little bit of iron gets in your white, like, it's not going to make that much of a difference, right? But if a little bit of blue cobalt gets in there, yo, you're in some trouble there, buddy. Next, I'm going to take this is my, just like a glaze testing thing, and so I'm going to break a little shard off of that, right? This is bisqueware. I'm just going to test thickness, right? If I'm looking at this, right, the thickness actually looks okay. I'll take a little pen, right? Let's see if I can Let's zoom in on my hand here. I'm going to take my pen, and I'm looking for like the white of your fingernail thickness there. And so I'd say this is pretty good. And so I'm just going to mix this up a little bit more. I'm going to do just a tad more water. Just a little bit more water. I tend to mix my glazes a little bit thick, so I know that's like a bias of mine. And so I'll thin this out to account for my personal bias, right? When I first was here mixing glaze, that was seemed to be a problem that I had, was I was making them a little bit too thick, right? And so there we go. There's our clear glaze. Now we're ready to put this bucket back. And we're ready to bounce, right? Rinse that off. But that's the glaze. We'll put the lid on the glaze here. Cone 6 clear. Ready, mixed. See you guys in a second. Woo!
And we're back, guys. So hope you guys like sort of my demo on glazing, or mixing glaze. Today it was just a simple clear glaze, so nothing too crazy there, right? But I think it's nice if you guys can sort of get to see some of these cool things that I can experience just because I'm working at some of these places, right? So you get to see some of the behind the scenes of stuff, which is, it's nice. Okay. Centering that clay. But I think like people, they don't understand actually how easy mixing glaze is. If you baked cookies before, you know, you could mix glaze, right? And so when you go to some of these places and you become so allured by the fancy colors and stuff from these companies, just know that you don't have to buy into the commercial aspect of a lot of these things, right? Like, you can mix your own glaze and be totally fine and actually make or save a lot more money. I have a lot of bubbles in this. Clay here. I actually went really wide, so that's gonna come in a second here. Here we go. Then I'm gonna do a little that clay up there. But I've always thought, like, if you have the people around you that are wanting to buy cups and objects and things that you make, you may think about just mixing your own glazes. You'll save so much money. And if you can make things really fast, man, you'll have a lot of people who want your stuff as well. And, you know, there's something like that I've noticed at working at some of these places, like, people are always like, wow, what glaze is that? Oh, is that the Amico, right? Which is fine. Let them do their thing. But I've always liked the idea, like, what glaze is that? Oh, it's just a glaze that I made, right? Like, I make the object, I make the glaze, right? There's something that's really beautiful about being in charge of the whole process, right? And it even gets amplified too. Like when I was studying at school, I'll tell you something that's so amazing. It's being able to use the whole kiln is yourself. The program is one that you programmed, right? And so it's kind of, and I actually got to do some where I was no programming, right? It was all manual. Those things are even cooler, but I feel like there's like a balance between efficiency and process, right? Like obviously wood kiln firings are so cool, but man, I don't think you could make shit for all year in a wood kiln unless you like really stock up. It's a whole nother can of worms that you kind of have to open up. Alright. There's a bubble there, but I'm not going to let the bubble get in my way here. I feel some drag on my arm here, so I'm going to just great. Nice. Okay. And if you want to make like just like simple pots and stuff, right, that's all you would do from this point is just take this almost cylinder, take a rib and then make it straight, or you could belly out the top just a little bit and make it look like an urn or something, right? Like once you can get to this point, I mean, you have a ton of options. But me, I like to do my little trees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, and we're just gonna take this in at the bottom a little bit there. Right, we want it to twist actually probably somewhere around the middle. So we're just gonna try to thin this stuff out a little bit. I think we're actually in a good spot. Need some more. Right there, nice. I don't even know what's happening here. Wow, look at that, guys. You can see the air bubbles, the air that was trapped. And this will collapse, but this rim is in, so when it collapses down, it's going to hug the spiral rim, right? And so that's actually going to look really nice when it collapses here. Sometimes you can just tell if they're going to collapse just by how thin and how much weight is on that top part. Only thing is that we just hope it doesn't tear, right? Like if it was to tear, then that whole ring would get disturbed, and sometimes it does. But it's that top edge, right, which is kind of holding this whole pot together. Not the whole thing, because the twist there is also kind of prevents anything underneath of it to sort of fall apart. But goddamn, it's kind of interesting to look at. And you see that wanting to peek out. I love that peeking, dude. It gives the pot like a direction to be viewed, right? Like, we're such an image-based society now, right? What I mean by that is usually you're looking at 2D images, 3D objects, so you're looking at it in a planar sense, right? But what's the biggest superpower of sculpture, right? Is that you get the whole, you can see the whole object in the round, right? Well, not online. Oh no, I totally ripped. Shit. I don't think it'll collapse though, because it is being held up on this side. Maybe I'll have these ones go on top of this edge here. Look at that. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's like it's pulling it down. Look at this. That's actually sick. Poison. Okay, great. Well, there we go, guys. That's the second one. I'm thinking this one's freaking... This one's opening up some doors, right? So that's 2 pots. They're pretty good. So we're gonna lift this one up here. Alright, guys. I'll see you guys in just a second. I'll show you my next commercial. And here's the pot. Alright guys, it's me, Pottery Demon, and we're about to go give these cups away. I think I got 15 of them, 16, I don't know. But they turned out so beautiful. I hope they like them, right? You know, when you're giving things away, especially when people don't ask for it, you gotta understand that they might not even want it as well. So, gotta keep that in perspective. And so I'm gonna go out there right now, and I'm gonna go give them the cups, and hopefully everything goes well. And then afterwards, I'll come back here and I'll sort of update you on how the whole interaction went. So I'll see you guys in a second. All the best. Strong mentality. I don't know why I said that just now, but I'll see you in a second. Peace. What an interaction that was. It was so positive. I don't think it could have gone any better, you know. It wasn't too busy, so I walked in, and, I'm clanking around because I have all these cups, and I show them it, and I tell them, I work around the area, and so I wanted to give you these cups here, and they have like the logo on the side. I was showing them, and the first thing she said, "Shut up!" So that was kind of a really cool, made me feel really great. If she felt that way or not, it doesn't matter. She performed like being really excited about it, and so that made me like really into that whole experience there. It gave me a lot of fuel, and she's telling them about the cups, and then she was like, "You know what? I gotta make you a drink. What do you want to drink?" And so I was like, I don't really. I'll just have whatever you really like, And so she made me this. I don't know if you ever had a cookie butter latte, right? It's so sugary, but it's like a good thing, I gave her these cups and stuff, and then she gave me like one of her favorite drinks, and it just is like a cool way to share experiences, right? Like I got the pottery experience stuff, she's got the latte making mastery down, It's just a good interaction to have. And then as I was leaving, she was like, I'll post on the Instagram about it. So, I'll follow them on the Instagram, and, who knows, maybe it could like lead to something. Maybe people will want these things. You never know. It's just kind of a cool little thing. You never know what's going to happen from these things. But overall, just such a pleasant experience. I would have loved to come in with my Santa hat like what I was talking about, but that's okay. I just didn't have the time to go get one, and that's just how the life is, right? But always pushing forward on these projects. You got to keep up that mentality. You can't let it slow down, right? Because that's when you'll start getting these bad habits of not pushing forward. So glad I could do this. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna be at cutting to me throwing here in a second. So I'll see you guys in one moment. I'm looking forward to throwing today. I feel a good energy. So hopefully no failures today like I did yesterday. Thank you guys. I'll see you in a second. Peace. We're back. I hope you guys enjoyed that ending there. It was such a great interaction I had with those people. That coffee that they gave me, this cookie butter latte, it was amazing. So sugary, actually my stomach kind of hurts from it, to be honest. I don't know, I think if it's just coffee, I feel okay, right? But if it's coffee and a bunch of sugar, it makes my stomach feel a little uncomfortable, I think. But still is nice that I could do that. And I keep thinking like how cool to be is if I find some, obviously I want to do all sorts of different companies, right? But I would love for things that I make to be used, right? And so I almost pulled that down, so it's okay. I'm gonna one-hand it here. There we go. Bringing down the hammer. I always have an idea of like mugs being a hashtag, and they sort of float around, and people post things online, right? But I think you have to have a certain level of you have to build up that hashtag, and I'm not there yet. I can imagine these cups people use, the history is on display through images of the cups with the people who post about them, right? Such a cool idea. I wish I could really make that happen. And maybe, who knows, I don't know, is there queens in England? I think so, right? I don't really know that much about Europe, to be honest, but what if a queen of England uses one of the cups, and then you can see the image of it on Instagram or something, and then people would also like to use that and post their image, and it'd be a fun project. I don't even know what I'd call it. How about hashtag mug drops? You just kind of drop a mug somewhere. There's some artists who do some similar stuff. Michael Strand comes to name. He did this cup collective where he would send this cup to a lot of different people. Kind of a cool thing. You know what? Hold on one second. I'm gonna create a interesting little edge on this one. I have an opportunity presented to me here, so I'm gonna take advantage of it. What I mean by that, this top, I'm making a gallery, right? Like if it was gonna be a jar. The clay sort of just fell into that gallery state there, so Guys, you guys gotta replay that pole in fucking slow motion. That pole was freaking. That was a strong pole, guys. There. I'm just gonna separate this bottom edge out from here. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. So these are going to be really, really big flops here. So once we have this, we're going to sort of try to thin them out towards the top. So you see how thick they are? Then we're going to thin them out. 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 So I'm yanking it back. And look, do you see how it's thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin? Great. And now we're going to mess around with this gallery, right? And so what are we going to do with this is actually we're going to pinch, 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 right? Now it has a funky top here. And then we're going to take this clay on the outside without disrupting that edge there. And we're just going to pop that out just like that. And so now it has like a cool, funky top. I mean, this pot is like pretty wacky, you know. It does kind of almost look like a jar. I really like what I did with that top rim there. And then the fold on the interior is like, it's like, it almost looks like an eye, right? It's like looking at us. It's so pretty. I'm gonna cut this on the bottom up here. Looks great, guys. Today, oh my gosh, I think what I really need to start doing is, like, I think I was trying to be too, what's the word? Too reserved with, or too efficient by trying to get 6 pots out of 25 pounds. I think really I should just try to do 4 for 25. And I think I'll end up with a lot cooler pots. I'll probably get a lot more height variation, right? Some of them will be sick and they'll be really tall. Some will be too thick and collapse, and it might create some cool stuff. Okay. Let's twist these puppies up. One. Two. Three. And it's kind of this one's gonna be kind of cool because I have four trunks and then 5 flanges, right? So what does that mean is that it won't look totally symmetrical. It will look kind of weird, and it won't make there'll be like patterns, but they're like it's like polka dots and stripes on the same thing, right? Kind of overwhelming, but also hides a lot of things, right? It almost makes it seem like there's only 4 of the little flanges when there's actually 5, which is kind of interesting. But this one, I think this one's the star of the day, guys. It's a little bit thicker and girthy on that center, but there's something about this one that just really is speaking to me. I'll show you guys up close that you see that pattern on the inside there, on that rim. Freaking crazy, look at that too. Jesus. It is like an eyeball. So, all right, I'm gonna get some bats so I can get ready for the image here. I think I gotta have this one front and center this time, guys. This one is the gem. This one might be one of the cooler ones I've made recently. Like it's taking that pattern and like really having some fun with it, you know? And then I'm gonna have the ripped one next because this tall one sort of speaks for itself. Where these ones, I think visually you need to be able to dissect what's going on there. Look at that. Oh yeah, guys, look at this. Okay, we're gonna zoom in. Ever so slightly on these here. Look at that. Guys, today was such a great day. I'm glad that you guys could be a part of this stuff and get to see me, some of the cool things that I do. But I'll have like the pottery stuff here. I'll be like a demon. My battery's gonna go out, but thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate the comments and everything. It's nice. So thank you guys. But all the best. Strong mentality. Peace.
Memories was sailing on a cruise ship in Venice, blowing glass on the top deck of a cruise ship, watching Venice sail by on either side of me. Truly a one-in-a-lifetime experience.